Okay, thank you.
There's real people.
Hi, people. Hey, Layshia, when you think back to your very first game where the coaching staff and Cheryl is shouting directions to you from the sideline because you were just dropped into this team, and now having a full training camp, you're impacted, and how that's going to affect you going into the second year with Lynx.
What do I think about it? How do I feel?
Yeah.
It's nice to be here, like just be present for training camp. I think it's like an invaluable time, albeit it's pretty quick for us. Given the 2 weeks before we start playing games or 1 week before a preseason game. So I think this time is a space where you build like chemistry and just get to know each other. And they're kind of long, hard, grueling days, but they're invaluable days for just spending time with your teammates and like being able to make a lot of mistakes this early in camp where there's less pressure on the games, where you can just kind of learn how to read each other. So it's night and day, obviously, having been dropped into games versus being here early.
Hey, Layshia, I got to hear you at the Adidas panel a couple weeks ago at the Final Four, and I remember you talking about just kind of rebuilding trust with basketball and playing with joy again after that injury in 2019. You just talk a little bit about just your mental approach coming into this year.
Yeah, it's just really playing with joy and like appreciating every moment. I mean, you see like the stars have aligned, and I get to play with Sylvia Fowls. Her last season ever on the court is like one of the greatest players ever. And after that injury, I think it just reminded me to get back to every moment because you never know when it's your last. Like when you're young and naive, you think like you're going to play forever. And this is year 10 for me. So it's at least downhill from here in terms of, you know, how many more years I have left. So I'm just trying to stay in the moment and enjoy it because you give too much to this game and this sport for it to not be fun for me. Like it's too grueling and it's too hard. And I give too much of my time away from my family, too much of my life and my sweat. And physically just the pain that our bodies endure. So for me, it has to just have some joy and some fun and some lightheartedness that like we get to play basketball every day. And so I try and stay rooted in that because I have the competitiveness. I have all the other things that will drive me, but the joy is really what just keeps me coming back every day is the fun with my teammates and the people around me.
Last year, you guys were on such a roll. Hey, and then that stress fracture just kind of came up. I think after like you guys had a week off or something. And how frustrating was it to have kind of gotten to a point where you guys were really clicking and then to be hampered the rest of the way? How difficult was that for you to take?
Yeah, it was pretty shitty. I mean, yeah, it came after Olympic break actually. So we had like a month off, but it must have been brewing there. I just didn't feel the pain until we played, I think 3 and 5 days right after that break. So it was frustrating, and every year that's why there's some luck that goes into winning a championship, like the luck of staying healthy and the luck of being the team that is the recipient of other teams being injured at times. So it was frustrating, it was debilitating, and then trying to, you know, work through an injury mid-season to try and come back knowing we were going to be as good of a seed as we were and play in that last game against Chicago where I mean my leg was just felt terrible and I could barely move. So yeah, I had a long rough 4-month recovery and feeling really better now.
We'll go to the Zoom. We'll go Erica, then Lucas. Erica, go ahead.
Thanks, Lay. Good to see you again. You mentioned that this is year 10. You know, obviously the WNBA coming off of a historic anniversary. The Minnesota Lynx have been such an integral piece of that. You mentioned playing with Sylvia Fowls. What have you seen as the growth with the league in your time, and what part of your leadership is attributed to, or do you want to attribute to leaving not just this franchise, but the league in a better place?
Mm-hmm. I've seen the talent grow first and foremost, like basketball wise. I think you've seen, I heard Syl talking about it a little bit, is just the talent overall pool that's grown, and just watching some of these college players that come in and are doing moves that like I didn't learn until like 3 or 4 years ago how to do. And so I think just seeing the style of the WNBA change over the course of my career, we've, you know, playing a little more small ball now, the fours are shooting it, that kind of play. We used to have like maybe the Lauren Jacksons, the Candace Parkers, but now if you're a 4 in this league, it's expected that you're able to step out and shoot. So it's been fun to, you know, this to be almost a decade for me to see just the style of basketball and evolution and talent change in our league. And then I think you're seeing a lot with big point guards in our league too. That's fine, like the Chelsea Grays and myself who like to play really physical basketball. And then I think the league has grown a lot in terms of our social like progression. And I think, you know, people like, I always credit BG and myself that came in that 2013 class and people who set the stage before us. But I think there were people who came in that were very like unapologetic about who we were and were going to push this league forward. And I think BG did that in a way with BG's sheer size and talent that made people have to respect who they were. And I think that was a really pivotal moment in 13. And you saw in 14 when our league finally marketed to the LGBT community for the first time. We did a partnership with CoverGirl. You saw more Pride nights around the league. So I think I credit BG and then players like myself and other folks, and even like the Simone Augustuses who came before us, who like, they didn't always get marketed by the league in the way that they should have as like Black queer women who were masculine presenting. But it's players like Simone who really set the stage for people like me and BG to come forth. I think they kind of crawled so we could walk. And so you could have like the Courtney Williams and all the people who, you know, just the way we do now, just feel, you know, whole and welcome and seen. And so I think the league has really grown in that space. And it's something I'm really proud of. They haven't always gotten it right. And there's times where our league hasn't embraced its own players, but I think we're finally, as an entire league, as the WNBA, like being on the right side of history, kind of moving forward, obviously embracing their first like trans player. And so that's something I'm super proud of.
Lucas, go ahead.
Lay, kind of piggybacking off your answer there, you know, you recently announced that you were going to be starting a new foundation. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that and kind of your why behind that new foundation?
Yeah. Essentially, like I realize a lot of the tax codes in this country, like the way our capitalistic society is set up, is like actually not to give resources or money, direct cash, to people who are poor and or who need it. So there's a lot in the nonprofit world where you can give people, you can give to a nonprofit and then they might offer a service to someone, right? I might have to sign up and go through an application process, but it's actually really hard to just give like poor people money. And poor people need money, right? Of all the things, money doesn't fix everything, but it was through some kind of personal experiences that hopefully I'll share later, where just I realized it was just the time for me and my family to start this foundation so we could create a grant process for ourselves in order to just give trans people, particularly trans people of color, like we just want to give them direct cash assistance. And that's for like anything from people having top surgery or bottom surgery, or, you know, acupuncture, or need to see a therapist, or any form of like wellness, because there's a lot of different forms of wellness for different kinds of people. And so we just want to be able to give that money like directly with the least amount of barriers, because a lot of times when you do need assistance, there's a lot of bureaucratic like hoops that you have to jump through in order to like actually receive the help you need. So creating this foundation was the way to try and like simplify that as much as possible.
We have time for one more. We'll go Jack on Zoom.
Hey, it's good to see you. You know, just what is your feeling level coming into camp, just with you know, having your foot, but also being able to be here, you know, around your teammates at the start of a new year, as opposed to jumping back in? Just how do you kind of weigh the you know, comfort of having teammates around, but also maybe, you know, how difficult it is to try and get back on your leg and trust your leg?
I mean, it's invaluable to be a part of training camp, especially someone who doesn't play overseas. So these are like reps and minutes and any kind of 100% live basketball that are really, really important to me, because I'm not playing year round like some of my other teammates. I think that's most important. I mentioned chemistry. I think conditioning is really important. I'm coming in really good shape, especially coming off my leg injury, but I'm not worried about my leg. Like my trainer's been awesome. I've come back over the last month or so, where I've been doing full court running and cutting and everything. So it's less my injury from a mental perspective and more just being here early, you know, being able to actually learn the playbook and then be able to get to a place where I can not only learn the playbook, but then put my teammates in the best position. Because there's one thing to know the plays, and it's another thing to be like, okay, what are we trying to get? What do we want to run? How do I get Angel this spot? How do I get, you know, AP or Sil in the right position? So it's just invaluable. And as hard as training camp is, like, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Life.
Thank you.
We have Ariel Powers next.
Hey, everybody.
Ariel,
Hey, everybody. Hi.
good to see you. I'll say hey. Good, I've got the microphone. How are you? How frustrating was last year, and how much drive have you had? And I know you're driven about pretty much everything, but how much this offseason has just been you saying, okay, I cannot wait to get back out there and take another run at this?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, it was really hard. Coming off my hamstring and then first game back, tearing my UCL and my thumb. So it was very tough. But like you said, it was a driving force for this off season. Coach trusted me to get into shape and get back to playing. So I took that seriously, and I wanted to come in healthy as I can to be here for training camp and healthy for the whole season. So I feel extremely ready on all cylinders. Like, my health feels great. As far as running and conditioning, I feel great. I'm ready for games to start.
It was a long road last year, but when you finally did get healthy and into shape, you kind of finished the season on a very high note. I think by the end of the year, you were this team's most important player. That kind of short window that fans saw at the end of last year, is that the Ariel Powers that I think that fans can expect to see from the start this time?
Yeah, I can agree with that. That is the Ariel Powers that fans should be ready to see. I want to, like I was doing towards the end, I was very efficient in my scoring, and not only in my scoring, my defense, my rebound. I was giving to the team in every area, and I want to continue to do that this year. I'm looking forward to it. It's Syl's last year, so I think we're all pushing a little harder and grinding a little more because she means so much to this team, and we want to get her a championship. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this year and bringing that same intensity from start to finish.
We'll go to Zoom. We'll start with Corbett.
Hi, Ariel. Corbett Harrell, WNBA lead. During the process of coming back from injury and dealing with it, you put out a series of videos kind of covering the process as you worked with Mayo Clinic. In fact, I actually watched it with my daughter. She was very interested in all of that. Now, what has going through that process and publishing it kind of given you in the understanding of how we take care, or as athletes take care of your bodies and bring yourself back from those moments?
Yeah, I think me documenting it on my YouTube series and also a little bit on Instagram, but mostly on YouTube, not only does it start to hold myself accountable, but it gives me another reason to show that young girls like your daughter who might end up having an injury, in their later years, how to get through it, not only physically, but mentally. I think that's not something that most people talk about. And for me, I wanted to show people and fans that in a vulnerable way, that it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to be down on yourself, but not to continue to be down on yourself. You're going to be upset that you're injured. That comes with being a good player and getting through adversity. So that was one thing, held me accountable to keep on pushing. But also now when I look back, it's like, dang, I've come a long way from last season, and how, I wasn't fully conditioned and I wasn't fully ready. And now I just look like a totally completely different player from last training camp to this start. So it's a way to hold myself accountable, also to show other young girls or young guys that, getting through an injury this is the formula.
Thank
We'll
you.
stay on Zoom. We'll go Lucas, then Erica.
Thanks for watching, by the way.
Hey, Ariel. I just want to know kind of what has been your experience through these first couple of practices playing alongside Angel McCoughtry?
Yeah, it's been fun. Actually always looked up to Angel. I don't know if she knows this. I used to watch WNBA, so she's always been a good player. So it's been fun to be able to play alongside of her. Also, coming into training camp, coach puts in a lot of plays when it starts. So I know how I was last year. So just trying to be helpful in any way possible that I can with her. But it's gonna be an exciting season, and I'm ready to start it with Angel. She's been great and a great teammate. So I've been happy to have her.
Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you. AP, you've talked a little bit about just what you've been doing to kind of keep people up to date with how you've been dealing with the injury. Obviously that you want to return back to that energetic type of player that we've seen. But I wonder if you've given any thought to, or what are some of the ways that you're challenging yourself to utilize some of that time that you had off of the court and observing and bring that to your game, or to elevate particular aspects of your game that have made you successful?
Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of basketball, and like I mentioned, I did not go overseas, so I was able to watch a lot of basketball, play a lot of basketball, literally eat, breathe basketball. So a few parts of my game that I know need to work on, I have been working on them. I'm not going to mention it just in case, any of my opponents are watching this. I have been working on those things to elevate my game, because I think as individuals, whether it's me, Sil, Angel, Lay, whoever those individuals are, if you can advance yourself, when we all come together as a group, it's only going to make the group stronger. So I've been working on my game tremendously.
We'll go next question to Jack. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Pete, it's good to see you. I know that, Cheryl talked a lot last season about a huge struggle for you guys as a team was kind of understanding how each other wanted to play, and that it was tough with injuries. It was just tough to get a feel for each other. And I know, we spoke in January about how tough it was for you to not have that same connection with your teammates from not, being with them every single day, practices, rehab. How have you seen those two things improve from, how you've started to learn your teammates and they've started to learn you in a training camp setting, and then, just building a connection with them? How has that been for you?
It's been great. And I think, which is something that most people wouldn't look at, is the relationship with my teammates have been better. You always talk like championship teams, they have good players, but the relationship outside the courts, are usually great with those championship teams. And I think last year, with me kind of being injured and not being able to be in the fire with them, it was just hard to get a feel for each other, period, on and off the court. So now I feel like I've really nurtured the relationships that I have with my teammates. They have been better, which I think they're better. And also getting a feel for them, because I'm playing with them every day. So we're able to communicate, maybe defensively or offensively, what each other actually likes and enjoys. So I've seen a difference from last year's training camp to this year's training camp. So like you said, it's very important. So I'm excited.
We'll go final question to Corbett. Go ahead, Corbett.
Oh, hello again. Outside of the court relationships with us, since I'll piggyback on that with you, you've kind of jumped into a variety of tasks here in Minnesota. We've seen you ice fishing already. What kind of methods have you used to nurture teammate relationships, and how has that kind of benefited off the on-court product?
Actually, I did do ice fishing. It was luxury ice fishing, I might add, but I had a lot of fun. Lately, I actually just asked Rachel and I think BC if they want to come on my Twitch channel one of these days and do like a little sit down chat or something fun on there. But trying to get together with my teammates and do something else other than basketball, maybe bowling or something, we haven't figured it out, because we've just been grinding in training camp and kind of like tired. But I'm down for whatever they want to do. I mean, I'm easy go with the flow type girl. So whatever we do off the court is up to them, really.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that Twitch stream.
You got to.
Thanks, Ariel.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, we have Bridget Carleton.
It's your birthday today, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
That's what Cheryl told us. Happy birthday.
I know we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but can you just talk about what your Olympic experience did for your game and your confidence?
Yeah, it was huge. It's always been a goal of mine, a dream of mine to play for Team Canada at the Olympics. And so to not only, the last 5 years be a part of that team, the senior team, and then to finally, make it to Tokyo after obviously a delay, and then being one of the go-to players on that team, really helped my mindset. Every time I touch the floor, I have to be aggressive. I have to look for my shot. It helps the team when I am aggressive and I can make good decisions out of that. So it's great, being a go-to player on that senior team. And that's always been a dream of mine and a goal of mine. And it's, hopefully will help me this summer.
Richard, how much different are things now than maybe they were 2 years ago once you were just kind of trying to get the lay of the land and figure things out? How much easier are things now to grow and absorb and learn?
Yeah, it's a world of a difference. My first 2 years in the league, it was making sure I knew the plays and making sure, I'm not making mistakes. And now I'm a lot more relaxed. I kind of know what's going on. I know what Cheryl expects of us and of me as an individual. So now I'm definitely more relaxed, more confident. I kind of know my spots. I know what Cheryl expects of me, and just to help, the other ones come along and, get caught up to speed.
As somebody who's been at a few Lynx training camps now, can you compare this year to a year ago? Everybody seems to be talking about how this is a different feel, a little better feel, maybe more focused. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously it's a little different. Last year we didn't have scout team guys to play against during training camp. This year we do. We came in ready. I think, all 15 of us came in shape, ready to go, ready to compete. I think that's the biggest difference. And we're energized. Sometimes I felt like last year, like the first hour and a half of practice, we'd be energized and then it would kind of die off and we'd get tired and fatigue would kind of catch up to us. But this year so far, it's only been 4 days, but it's been a good feel, good energy. We're all excited to be there every day.
We'll go to the Zoom. We'll go Lucas, then Jack. Go ahead, Lucas.
Hey, Bridget. So you have experience now playing WNBA, overseas, Olympics, that kind of stuff. And your role in each of those settings is a little bit different. You kind of touched on it earlier, but I kind of want to know, like, when you step on the court, do you, think about, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of how you can incorporate tools that you picked up in these different spots to each individual game, or do you just go out there and try to be you?
Yeah, I think your second point, I just try to be me. And it looks different kind of every team I'm on, but I always pride myself in, being a defensive player, putting full effort into my defense, knowing the scout, knowing what the coach expects of me on the defensive end, and then offensively making the right decisions, not turning the ball over, taking my shot when I'm open. And obviously, it looks different on different teams, but those are kind of like the standards I set for myself. And I hope to, achieve those every time I step on the floor.
Go ahead, Jack.
Bridget, it's good to see you. I saw that you became a Nike athlete over the off season. Just what is that like for you as kind of a benchmark of your career? And then secondly, last year I know that there was a lot of injuries and people were in and out, and it was kind of hard to understand the way that each other wanted to play. Just how much better do you think that is so far? After the first few days of training camp.
Yeah, excited to be a Nike Canada athlete. something I never thought would happen to me in my career and never was really a goal of mine, but kind of just happened over time. With me playing a lot of minutes and being one of the go-to players at the Olympics, I think it just kind of fell into place. But yeah, super excited about that. Get some free shoes. I don't have to pay for my basketball shoes anymore, which is kind of nice. And I got made fun of a lot a couple of years ago for always wearing like the standard like team issued shoes. So now I can be kind of cool and wear some new shoes. But yeah, as far as training camp and, you know, injuries last year, I think we have a team that's always ready to step up and step in when we do have injuries. We have a lot of versatile players who can play multiple positions. I think I pride myself in that and being able to, you know, play 2 through 4, guard 2 through 4, 1 even. If I need to guard the 1, I probably won't play the 1. But I think this year, you know, we're all locked in. We know our positions, and hopefully we stay healthy, knock on wood, and we can focus in on those. And I think that'll be even better for us during the season.
We'll stay on Zoom. We'll go Erica, then Corbett. Go ahead, Erica.
Bridget, congrats on your Nike deal. I'm sure that's pretty exciting. Yeah, for sure. So, you know, a lot of people have alluded to it. I mean, I think you're kind of squarely in that baby vet category at this time in your career, but you're also playing with a team that has a storied history and obviously has brought in some athletes that have changed this league and will be saying farewell to one that's really changed this franchise. In what ways does the proximity, though, to those careers change how you think about the longevity that you want to have, either here with the Lynx or in the WNBA or with, you know, Canada basketball?
Yeah, it's amazing to see how, you know, Sylvia Fowls, Angel McCoughtry come to work every day. You know, their storied careers, they've been so successful and they still continue to work every day and be professionals and be great teammates and great leaders, to the other vets, to the other rookies, no matter who you are. That level that they hold other people to is really amazing to see. And, you know, I don't like to think about when I want to stop playing because hopefully I can play for a lot longer, but just to see the careers that some of these ladies have had, and the consistency that they've been able to play at a high level. Yeah, it's something definitely to achieve and something to look for, but you know, not everyone can do it. And hopefully I can be one.
Go ahead, Corbett.
Bridget, we've talked a little bit about training camp and your time with Team Canada here. One consistency between all of that was Natalie Achonwa. How do you feel like your time over a span of a year between the two teams will help your dynamic on the court with her?
Yeah, Natalie, it's great to have her. She's in my corner. Over the last year and a half, we've become actually pretty close. We played on the national team. I think 2017 was our first year together, but she was the older vet and I was hanging out with the younger kids. We were teammates on the court, but didn't really have much of a relationship off the court. But when Cheryl reached out to me and asked about Nat during free agency last year and reached out to her, and that's when we started kind of connecting again. And obviously great to have her on the team last year, and then playing at the Olympics together and being two of the main players. I think our relationship has evolved tremendously off the court and on the court. So it's fun to see that evolution. And it's fun just to have her in my corner, and I know she's always has my back.
We'll go final question to Lucas.
All right, I'm back. So I got to know, you get free shoes now. What was your first pair of free shoes?
I got Dunks. They're my first free pair of shoes that I got sent to me, but they're Team Canada colors, so they didn't make the trip to Minnesota, but I'm sure I'll get some other ones.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Bridget. Thank you.
Everybody ready?
Right, we have Damiris Dantas. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you talk about how your recovery is going and kind of where you're at physically? I know that was a pretty painful and difficult injury you sustained last, I think, September.
Yeah, now I feel much better. I'm still here for in the off season for my treatment. So now I think I'm 6%, 16%. I'm still work on my cardio. I need to be ready for strong. So I don't feel more pain now, but yeah, it's better, much better.
You know about when you might be back in practice?
Not yeah, I think more 3 or 2 weeks.
Can you just talk a little bit about just the general spirit of the team going into this year? Especially seems like a lot more stability this time than there was a year ago.
Yeah, I try. I think the team is so good. I see the training camp this 4 days. It looks so good. I'm so happy to see Angel here. I'm play and 3 years ago together. She's so nice. I'm so happy to be here this moment. My big moment last year, like Caesar. So I hope I back soon in a car for work together, play together, and do my best. But now I'm so happy. The team looks so good.
Okay, we'll go to Zoom. Erica, go ahead.
Hi, Damiris, bom te ver. I try a little Portuguese, but Damiris, can you talk a little bit about how it's been to play alongside Sylvia Fowls with the Minnesota Lynx? Obrigada.
Can you say it one more time? Sorry.
Yes, to play with Sylvia Fowls for the last few seasons with the Lynx. What has been your experience? E obrigada.
Obrigada você. Thank you. So I'm so happy because when I start play basketball in Brazil, I see my big mom in here, and I dream like, oh my gosh, I hope one day I go to play this girl because I watch video
I watch the games for do same in Brazil, and now I have good opportunity to play together. She's so good, not only in the core, outside the core, good teammate. So for me, it's special and be here and play together. My big mom still.
Thank you, Damiris.
Thank you.
Shortage of personnel.
Love that.
Imagine how stressful that is. Yeah, you know, like not only remember when she was a rookie, but I did an interview with her using Google Translate. Wow. Computer, like I would ask a question, I would show it to you. Couldn't speak one word. Wow.
All right, we have Natalie Achonwa.
What's chilly in here?
Every person has said that the moment they walk in.
Everybody has? Okay, I mean, it's chilly everywhere, but it's just with the sheesh.
Natalie, what's the biggest difference between this camp and last year's camp in your mind?
One was our approach coming in. I know Cheryl challenged us early and often in this off season to make sure that we were coming in ready and that we were taking full advantage of training camp. And so last year being my first year, I wasn't really sure what to expect. And this year it was came better prepared. And I think we're taking more advantage of getting ready in the moment and not just going through training camp, but taking full advantage of every day.
Can you just talk a little bit about your relationship with Layshia and how you work together on the floor?
Layshia and I go way back, back from when I first joined the league and playing in Indiana. Layshia is more than a teammate for me. Like a lot of my teammates, he hits a certain and special part in my heart. And I think you see that in the connection that we play together with. So it felt very full circle when they joined our team back last year, and excited to see how we can continue to take that chemistry off the court and apply it even more this year.
Natalie, what was your reaction whenever you found out that Syl was coming back for one last ride? And what's kind of the team's response wanting to send her out with one more year to go on the right note?
Exactly what you said. Every year we come in and we want to win a championship, but I think with this being Syl's last year, it gives us some extra motivation to want to send a legend, send her off with a bang and with a championship. I wasn't as surprised that she was coming back because I told her she had to come back. So for me, I was just glad to see that when it did come out that she was going to have a chance to really get her flowers while she was still playing, because she deserves it. She has been such a tremendous gift to our game, and she will definitely be missed. And I know still around in probably a different capacity, but I'm definitely excited to be able to play with her in her final season.
To have that type of veteran leadership on the team and pairing that with Angel coming into the mix now, what does that do for a team knowing that you have two of the best in the WNBA?
Yeah, especially two that do the talking with their work, if that makes sense. They are gritty grind players. And I think the way that Sylvia plays and the dominance that she plays with is very different from her leadership. I didn't really truly understand the nickname Sweet Syl till I got here, because I never saw Sweet Syl when I was in a different jersey. So it's great to see how you can virtually be different people, how you can lead in one way, but play with such dominance and play in such a competitive way. It's amazing to see how she does it.
We'll go to the Zoom. We'll go Erica, Jack, Corbett. Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you. Natalie, Erica Ayala, Black Rosie Media. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hey, so a lot of conversation already has been just about this team wanting to make good on training camp and refine some of the things that maybe didn't necessarily pan out from last season. As someone who is looked to as a leader on this team and is starting to get a feel for what it is like to play for Minnesota, what does that look like for you in your leadership style? And then how do you think the team is making good on that to really start off this season better than you started last season?
It's like I touched on before, the approach. It's instead of letting things come to you, instead of like waiting, like we know like K-Mac's not with us right now, we're missing some players. Instead of waiting for those players, or giving us ourselves our excuses as to we don't have maybe our full team yet. Instead of using that, we're attacking every day. And we're not letting things come to us. We're like going to reach and grab them. And I think that mentality has been prevalent from the first day and the first second. And Cheryl said that in the first huddle, is that we're going to use every moment to get better and not progressively we always will get progressively better throughout the season, but from day one, we want to be competitive. We want to be winning games. And even when Waylon came in practice the other day, she said the same thing. That mentality of wanting to start the season out 13-0 is what you need in training camp. You can't just flip it on when the games come. So we've definitely, I think, owned that approach and mentality in this training camp.
Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Natalie, it's good to see you. I know last season was pretty grueling physically in terms of recovering from your injury and then going straight into playing for the Olympics and then coming straight back and playing for the Lynx. So first of all, how are you doing physically? And secondly, just how different do you think the connection that's shared between you and your teammates this year might be different as opposed to last season when there were a lot of injuries and a lot of players had to, spend so much time doing individual rehab work instead of, practicing together?
Yeah, I know personally for me, there was a lot of new last year, and then throw into the mix having an injury like that where I spent a month away from the team and then play the Olympics where I spent another month. I virtually didn't play with my teammates for 2 months going into what is the most exciting but also competitive part of the season in the end of season and playoffs and stuff. So for me, one of my biggest goals this year is to stay healthy for the whole season, and that goes into the work that I did in the off season. And when you get to put on a Minnesota Lynx jersey, it gives you a different, I don't know how to explain it, but a different type of energy, a different type of fight that I even used during my rehab, and that I wanted to get back to put the jersey on, not only to play with my teammates and the relationships I built, but I understand the weight that this jersey carries and the legacy that this jersey carries. And that's how I approach every day. And so for me, that's the mentality I'm using this season to fight and tackle every day. And it also makes it easier when you spend time and you have time. So second year, I know my teammates better now. They know me better. Same with our coaching staff and our off-court staff. I think comfortability in that sense will help take away a lot of the gray area that you have when you don't know people. And so I think that's been prevalent this training camp so far. And I can't wait to see how we continue to develop these relationships, because when you're doing things easy, when you're in training camp, when things are virtually easy, it's easy, right? But when you hit grinds of the season, when you hit, like we talked about last year, injuries, when you hit adversity, that's when you truly test your relationships. And I think having that time of last year to get to know each other better, this off season to get to know each other better, will help during those times during this year.
Corbett, go ahead.
Hi, Natalie. Corbett Harold, WNBA lead. Hi. This year, you mentioned you're without K-Mac at this point in time. You're also going to be down Napheesa Collier, obviously, to start the season, and possibly at least one other player. And what kind of versatility are you building as a team to kind of prepare for missing those kind of pieces at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, those aren't small pieces to miss going to the beginning of the season. I mean, you want to think scoring alone by missing Fee and K-Mac. But that is where we all have to step up, where we all have to do a little bit more. And I think, like I said, Cheryl challenged us early and often this offseason. And that was also one of the parts that I was challenged in, continuing to work on my range, continue to work on my jump shot, to be able to play the 4 and not only have to play the 5. So I think we each have to do a little bit more in our roles, and it takes a special type of person to come and play in Minnesota. And Cheryl doesn't pick people or take people in free agency or in trades or whatever it is. She doesn't take that lightly. So the type of character and the type of people that you're having in these jerseys are those that are going to want to do that extra 1%, do whatever is necessary to get us to our goal and winning a championship. So I know my teammates are ready to fill whatever gaps that we need to fill until we're full strength, until if he pops that baby out and comes back and joins us. Yeah, I think we're all excited. The grind of training camp and getting through it, but we're definitely ready to play some games and some exhibition games next week.
Final question will go to Pat on Zoom. Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, Natalie. I want to get back to Syl for a second. Can you think of a specific example of something nice that she might have said to you, or a gesture of kindness that she did to you that made you think, yeah, now I know everyone calls her Sweet Syl?
I don't even know if it's a gesture, but like Syl, like you can like feel her aura, whether it's just like a rub on the back when you get in the morning, or it's like a good morning. I'm not a morning person, so thankfully Syl's locker is like right next to mine, so she's one of the first faces that I see, and she's always like, good morning, Nat, and like tries to pull me out of my box of not being a morning person. So it's something about her aura, and she just makes me smile every time I think about Syl. It's something you have to feel. You can't, like I said, from looking from the outside in, you always see this gritty, dominant player. But if you really know Syl, if you're really around Syl, Sweet Syl is the only thing that makes sense.
Thanks, Natalie. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, Natalie.
Good. Okay. See you guys. Oh, my knees.
We have Angel McCoughtry next.
All right. What's up, guys?
Folks were saying earlier that you and Syl got to be pretty good friends during your time with USA Basketball, and that your families in particular kind of bonded following you guys through those tournaments. Knowing that, I mean, was it a pretty easy decision to come here to play with her, and what is it to you as somebody you've known for so long to know that this is her last year playing, and how does that affect kind of your approach to the season?
Definitely playing with Syl certainly had an impact on me coming to Minnesota. And that's kind of like the icing on the cake that you get to play with her last year, We have a lot of great memories together, Olympic memories. So I do know Syl, I know her game, playing with her. So it is a bit of you get emotional thinking like this is her last year, and we won't see her again on the court. But what I can say, the great part about it is to be a part of history and playing with her in her last year. That's definitely just an amazing thing to be a part of that.
Angel, you've obviously played a lot of basketball at a high level, been a leader on teams before.
Mhm.
How do you come into a new organization while trying to kind of be that leader again with a whole new group?
Yeah, I mean, it just comes with the person you are. I'm just a natural born leader. This is my third team, so it doesn't matter where I am. The leadership just comes out, my experience or what I see. I would say right now in training camp, I've been doing a lot of learning because, you have to process a new system. There's different ways that things are done, different terminologies that you have to learn. So right now I've just been taking that step back and learning and watching how Syl leads and how the girls take on leadership. And then as I get more comfortable with learning the system, then I'll start to be a little more like, vocal and you know, be that person behind Sil that can push the girls and things like that, as well as myself, because they push me too. So, but it's been great. You know, it definitely comes out, you know, on each team. And luckily, I've been able to come on teams and have a great impact. You know, I had some great years in Atlanta. When I played 2 years ago in the bubble 2020, we went to the finals. So, you know, hopefully, you know, I still have a little bit in the tank to give back to the history that this franchise has had and the nightmares they've given me in my career early on. So, you know, hopefully we can be a nightmare to some other people.
Angel, what was the process like for you to determine the new team to play for? How many other teams did you consider?
Yeah, there were a couple other teams. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I thought I was gonna go back to Vegas. I never thought that I was gonna be on another team in the beginning. And then when I saw that, you know, things happen, new coaches come in and new systems, and that's totally normal in sports. So as I weighed out my options, you know, I had to look at where I could be successful, coming off another injury, who still believed in me that I can do what I know how to do in the court. And Cheryl was the perfect person, you know. And here at the Mayo Clinic, I mean, what better place coming off an injury to be at a place that has the best facilities in the league. You know, I can just pop around the corner and see the doctor whenever I need to. So it's great. It's great. This is definitely a great situation for me.
We'll go to Zoom. We'll go Jack, then Corbett. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Angel, it's good to see you again. You know, just how helpful has it been for you to have all these relationships with people like Sil and Cheryl dating back so long to be able to help you to hit the ground running? Because I know that Cheryl really expects a lot out of players early with how much she likes to install this early in the season.
Yeah. What was the question again? I couldn't hardly hear the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just like how helpful is it to have those, you know, pre-existing relationships to help you with kind of how demanding Cheryl is in her training camp and how much she's trying to install?
Yeah, I think being around throughout the years and forming the relationships with different people helps. You get to kind of have somewhat of a idea of what you're getting into. And just being at USA Basketball a month ago at the Final Four, that helped prepare me a little bit for what I was about to get into, and to know a couple of the players before. So I think the experiences I've had around the years, getting to know people, playing so many basketball games, getting to know people's games, you know, all that comes into play.
Go ahead, Corbett.
Hi, Angel. You did mention and give a little shout out to Mayo Clinic. How has, in the little bit of time you've actually been here with the team, it been working with the training staff and being able to utilize that kind of facility?
Oh yeah, we've utilized everything immediately. You know, I've come in here and you know, I've seen doctors and we've assessed things and working on things for me to improve as a player. And it's funny because when we were at USA Basketball, some of the girls were like, "I see why you signed here." They were even impressed with a lot of the facilities. They were looking around like, "Wow!" Because let's keep it real. To be honest, a lot of teams don't have this. You know, I've been around the league and I haven't seen this anywhere. There's some teams that are close, but no one is at this level, and especially, you know, to be able to be treated equal as the men team. This is really awesome. And you don't see that a lot of places. So it's been great. We've, you know, to utilize everything and be a part. And it's been helping my recovery process move a lot faster, I'll tell you that, than if I was somewhere else.
I wanted to ask you, just as somebody who's been in this league for a while, I mean, there's so many players on this team who are young that they don't have the perspective. This is about Sil. I mean, when you just kind of step back and look at her career, you've gone against her now, played against her and with her for more than a decade. Just how great a player is she in terms of the league history of this league, especially at the center position? And what do you think her, I guess, legacy is going to be when they're putting together all 50-year anniversary teams in a couple of decades?
Oh my God, are you kidding? She's a Hall of Famer. You know, she's an Olympian. Everything that any accolade you can name in the sport, hands down, Sylvia will have. And I think the main thing that you'll hear people say is who she is as a person, as you just heard Nat say before I came up, was just how she just pushes her, and how even in the morning, it's just her good morning lifts her spirit. And that's what Sil is. When she walks into the room, if she was to walk into this room right now, I think everybody would just start smiling, because that's the person she is. And, the thing about it is, we're all going to get accolades. We're all going to get things in basketball, but who can say who we are as people? That's what's important. That is the legacy that you leave behind, who you are as a person, how people felt around you, how they were inspired by you, the community. And she's done all of that. And it actually gets a little emotional when you to think like this is her last year. And for me, I'm going to continue to watch and learn from her and enjoy it with her, and see what it's like. Because I know I don't have too much longer after her. So I just want to see how she enjoys this, and I can learn a lot from that as well. But she's just great. She's amazing.
We'll go back to Zoom and go Erica, Jack. Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you, Angel Erica Ayala with Black Rosie Media. Now, last year, Angel, we were on a media call with you, and you were putting out requests for ice cream shops in the different markets. Have you come across one in Minnesota yet that is to your liking?
I haven't left my apartment yet because it's still cold. But when it warms up, I don't see why not. Or even if I can partner with an ice cream shop here and just make a flavor, I think that would really be cool.
I'm gonna follow up on that later in the season.
Yeah.
All right, final question, Jack. Go ahead, Jack.
I didn't have a question. I'm sorry. I forgot to put my hand down.
Go ahead, Corbett. You had your hand raised. I saw. You want to take a final question?
I took it down because I didn't have one, but after that ice cream question, since you haven't left your apartment, I'm guessing there's a lot of ordering out that's been going on. Any favorites from the local area yet?
You know what? Because we have our own private chef, I haven't
Oh,
had to do much ordering out. And and like I said, most teams don't have a private chef. So I'm making use of that luxury.
completely understand. Thank you.
Thanks, Angel.
Thanks, guys.
It's too cold. It's cold. Ice cream is always good. Yeah, sure. Ice cream. My dad used to eat ice cream in January. Angel's never gonna really get it.
That's not true.
No, it will. June. June. You play inside. You good. June. I'm joking. Makes you serious. Which you might. Have you seen like, look. Sometime winter time, the last 10 months. Bro, I hate that, bro. I hate that so much. And I know better, but oh my God. My dad had to call me the other day to tell me it was 70 degrees at home. It's supposed to be 70 here on Saturday. I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, yeah. There's also rain forecast. Rain. That's the thing. Give me the cold, the sun. That's good. A few years ago, I was watching this. Oh, yeah. Saturday is 70%. It was gone in a day, but yeah, but still, but it's just the principle that it's gonna snow that much. Just feels, this was like the worst for like 24 years. Yeah, this was the worst spring. Well, we just thought, spring, it's like a late spring. Yeah, well, at least we had that. At least we had that. Oh, no, it's just. Really? It seems like it's windy all the time. That's been the absolute. Well, somebody said, it's usually, I think it's usually windy in April, but in May, that's when it really feels like spring. That's my sense. Somebody had a triangle graph the other day, and it was like wind, cold, precipitation. Minnesota winter, you pick 2. Somebody said everything is shifted 3 weeks. Like fall runs like. All I know is that Brown Hall, keep high, that's all. And even December. We'll just be next door. Really snow. Fall. Baseball, softball. I know it's been a while since. I think they should just push the season. Even the Metro crisis, play a month and then after.
All right, we have Rachel Banham.
Oh, I didn't know it was like this. I didn't know we were doing this. All right. Charles, I know it's weird. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with my arms. All right, I'm not gonna do that. Kent,
How you doing, Ray?
good. How are you?
Good. The biggest difference in your view of the first week of camp this year compared to last year?
Definitely more people in shape. We're getting up and down better. We're healthier. So definitely, yeah, those two things, being in shape and being healthy.
Too early to ask, but what's the personality? Hi, first of all.
Hi, Chris.
What's the personality of this team? Is it different than the last few in any way?
I think it's going to be decently similar to last year, but we have different people. We're still goofy and weird, having fun. We're still kind of playing the same ball, getting Sylvia the ball, shooting threes, doing our thing. So kind of similar, but I feel like we're still kind of forming that a little bit still here in training camp.
And any surprises so far? Anybody who's really stood out to you in training camp?
Not yet, I would say. Like, everyone's just playing really solid. So not quite yet. Ask me that like in a week, okay? And I'll get back to you. But everyone's been really solid, and like we're learning a lot. So it's definitely like the last 4 days have been a big learning process. But it's been really fun.
Rachel, I kind of see you as a veteran now, which, yeah, right? It feels
Yeah,
a little bit
old.
different. What do you expect for yourself this season, and what you've been working on or taking a step forward, or has that changed at all when you kind of are transitioning from I'm new or with a new team to now having that, that title?
Yeah, I'm super comfortable now on this team. I mean, I came in pretty comfortable just being from here, but this year, I'm stepping up in the leadership category for sure. I'm taking a lot of control over that, helping Syl out a lot in that. So just being a lot more comfortable in my role and what I do.
You mentioned you're from here. Hannah, also from here,
Yeah.
back here. How much did you know about her previously? And obviously being a fan of the Lynx and then joining the Lynx, something you know about. Is there any advice you can give to her to make this experience and continue on with her basketball career?
Yeah, I mean, Hannah's great. I believe we've met at North Tartan practice because we both played for the same AU programs, obviously different times. And then I've watched her career at South Dakota. She's awesome, a great kid. I'm really happy for her to be here. It's super cool to play for your home team, of course. But for her, just being able to learn from Sylvia Fowls, I mean, that's all. I mean, that's all she needs to do is just sit and take in everything that she's doing and learning from her. And that's my only advice. Do what Syl does.
We'll go to the Zoom. We'll go Pat, Jack, Corbett. Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, Rachel. Wondering if you learned anything about Angel from the first few days of practice that maybe you didn't know from playing against her the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about Angel, obviously, besides her game, but like personality wise, I didn't know her super well. But she's super chill. She likes to talk the game a lot, which I really enjoy. I think that helps people on the court just kind of figuring out like what's going on. She likes to ask questions, talk the game. And I didn't know that of her. I thought, maybe she just kind of goes out there and does it, but she's good about really like learning the game and talking through it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jack.
Rachel, it's good to see you. Coming into this season with how many players you have in camp and just how, Cheryl expected it to be so competitive, what have been your observations from camp, maybe comparing, this one to some other ones that you've been in that have been pretty competitive with a lot of players hungry and, some roster spots maybe towards the end that haven't been figured out quite yet?
Yeah, I definitely think it's really competitive. And I think Cheryl has made that clear, that we're competing every single day, playing this league, like your job is never secure. So come every day ready to play hard. So I think this year it's been really competitive from the rookies to the veterans. We've all been kind of giving it, which has been really fun. I think that makes training camp tough and competitive. And yeah, I think sometimes, you go into those training camps and everyone kind of knows their spot and who's going to be where and what, but it has been a more competitive camp.
Go ahead, Corbett.
Hi, Rachel. with a couple of other guards missing at this time, how much have you been working on your versatility to be able to step into the different roles between point and shooting guard with this team and be prepared to start the season, especially with someone like a Kayla McBride out?
Yeah, I've actually been playing all one, and that's going to be my role this season. So I've actually really enjoyed it because I know my role and I know exactly where I'm going to be and what I need to do. But don't worry, I'm still shooting the rock a lot. So, and Cheryl lets me do that. She kind of lets me come in and do my thing, and she wants me to shoot. She said I have the ultimate green light. So I'm like, all right, say less. I got you. So it's been really fun. I've been loving it. So I still play kind of like, I'm still playing that off guardish, but I'm playing the one. I'm fully playing the one. I'm finding people as well, but I'm definitely not turning down shots.
I kind of wanted to piggyback on that. I mean, ever since you got into this league, you've been 2, you've been 1, you've been combo, you've been 2, 1, even here. You kind of how cool is it just for them to say this is what you are? And I kind of think in the back of your mind, you always kind of thought you were a 1 anyway.
Yeah.
Is that clarity help you focus on things?
Definitely. Like you said, it's been really fun to be versatile, and I'm always going to be able to play both positions. That's not going to go anywhere. But it has been nice just to have that like clear path of like, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I need to do. I'm playing the one, I'm the leader, I'm calling the plays, I'm doing certain things. And that's just been really refreshing for me to not have to try to figure out where I'm at. I'm always kind of just like the back person to everybody. Like I'm here and this is what I'm doing. So just having that clear role, I think for any player is really important and helps them just kind of figure out what they're doing. So it's been really nice kind of having that.
We'll go final questions on Zoom. Jack Corbett, go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Rachel, one other question for you now that you said that you are playing the one. Just what has it been like to split reps with Lay and to be able to kind of have conversations with Lay? I know that, obviously she's great in the pick and roll and you're great in the pick and roll as well. Just what is it like to learn from her and to be able to have, like you were saying about Angel, just basketball conversations with someone like her that's been in the league for so long?
Yeah, it's really fun. Lay's super smart. She just knows the game, high IQ. And we like to talk basketball. Like we bounce stuff off each other and we see different things because we are different type of point guards. And I also think that's what kind of makes it fun is we are so different. And Lay, we both love the pick and roll, but Lay's someone who's going to get in the paint more than I do. And I'm someone who's going to shoot threes more than she does. So it's kind of fun and we're able to just bounce ideas off each other. That's been really nice. I just think that we're really good at learning from each other.
Go ahead, Corbett.
Working from the one here, especially with some young players in there for camp, but also it's kind of a different, more refined role than what you've been used to. How has learning some of the tendencies of your teammates been different for this training camp with you in that one role more often?
Yeah, I definitely have to pay attention more. On the two, you can kind of just fly up the floor and do your thing. But at the one, you do really have to know your teammates' tendencies, where they need to be on the floor, timing of when to get them the ball. I want to get AP at good spots where she can be aggressive and hit her mid-range. I got to get Syl down low, not necessarily give Syl the ball in the middle of the paint and have to make her make decisions there. So like you said, just knowing tendencies. And then there's a lot of new girls in camp. So just kind of picking up on that stuff quickly, but it hasn't been too hard because this group has gotten along really well. So we communicate super well and we ask each other questions. So, I'm able to say, hey, where do you want the ball? Did you like that? No, so we can kind of communicate through that. And it's been pretty easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks. Thank you guys. Good to see all your faces.
All right, we have Rennia Davis.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. I wanted to ask you just how, first of all, how nice it is to be back on the practice court. It's been so long for you. I guess that recovery just was really, it took a long time. But I wanted to ask, I mean, it must have been frustrating to not be able to play last year, but I was wondering what you were able to kind of pick up about the game, about the team by watching and being around it, that you were able to kind of bring into kind of a second rookie year.
Yeah, it was definitely rough, like you said, to just have to sit out last year. But I think the biggest thing I picked up from this team specifically is just the personality types. Just being around them a whole year. And I think it helped that I didn't have to add the stress of being a good basketball player last year as well. Just having the freedom of just being able to know them and them know me without seeing, how I'm going to help them on the court. It seemed like a more genuine connection that was formed. So I learned their personalities last year for sure.
You obviously didn't play overseas.
I did.
You did. So you were able to play a full season over there?
Not a full season, no. I went for maybe 3-4 months.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, the fans have been waiting for a long time to kind of see what you bring to the team. What are they going to see when you finally get on the court for that preseason game?
Man, my game is pretty smooth. I'm a really good rebounder, especially from the guard spot. Gonna play defense, gonna run the floor. Just everything Minnesota Lynx basketball is, whatever Reeves want me to do, that's what I'm willing to do. Gonna hit shots, gonna look for my teammates, look for Seal most of the time, but everything, I'm gonna do everything.
Rennia, you talked about kind of off the court being able to build relationships with your teammates, but what about how it's maybe the year off, how it's helped you on the court as well to be able to see the playbook over and over again, to have that time to study. So by the time you're in training camp right now, you can really just hit the ground running, unlike other new players.
Yeah. It still takes me a while to process certain things, especially with so many plays. But I will say that if I would not have saw these plays live ran over and over and over last year, I would have been way further behind. So it probably took me maybe 2 days to get it this year, to get all the plays at the 3 and the 4 spot. But man, if I wouldn't have seen it last year, it's no telling how long it would have took.
We'll go to the Zoom. Lucas, go ahead.
Rennia, kind of going back on the talk of your game there a little bit. So while you're playing overseas, you kind of, from the games I watched anyway, it seemed like you kind of functioned as like the stretch four in the offense over there. But you also maybe have some speed and lateral quickness that might be more suitable at the 3. Do you see yourself as more a 3 or 4 in the WNBA level?
I don't know. I can play both. And with the offense that we run over here in Minnesota, is 4 out. So that as long as I'm on the outside, I know over in Israel, the games you watched, I was playing a lot of back to the basket, which is pretty uncomfortable for me to play for 40 minutes. I do like to be able to have that freedom to be able to handle the ball some on the perimeter for sure.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go Jack. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Rennia, what do you think is the most important thing that you learned from your teammates last year? I know not being able to play is tough, but just from a basketball perspective, what's the biggest thing you've learned, while sitting out, and how do you think that's helped you this year?
Man, I was able to soak in so much last year. I think just the first piece of just coming into training camp, prepared. I think that was a big thing for us last year. I know Cheryl would say that she didn't feel like we was as in shape as we should have been last year. So my biggest thing coming in this year was just be as prepared as I could be for training camp this year, so that as it went on, I wouldn't be trying to get prepared, but I would already be prepared from day one.
We'll go final question to Lucas. Go ahead, Lucas.
Kind of going back to what you said about it being uncomfortable to play with your back to the basket. What do you think playing in kind of those uncomfortable situations helps you, not only grow as a basketball player, but also kind of teaches you about yourself?
Yeah, great question, Lucas. So I can play back to the basket, but for 40 minutes, it's just not my game. But it definitely did help me to just get in there and just bang a little bit, kind of get that physicality piece back that obviously I was out for about 10 months without that. So that helped. And just being able to be strong and tough down there. Obviously in the W, it's a lot of big players way bigger than me, way stronger than me. So just being able to maneuver around sometimes and find different finishes around those bigger players or those stronger players, use my quickness when I needed to, and just kind of be able to adjust to those players. I definitely learned that playing in the post a lot overseas.
Thank you, Rennia.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Thanks.
This giant touchscreen thing just like baffles me.
Game changer.
It's incredible. All right. You got a lot. Is that what you got?
Let's see.
Was a capital letter horse girl.
Yeah, my wife was saying. Horses, 23 acres. And about a village of you know where River Falls is?
Yeah.
About 9 miles past River Falls. Yes, but you know, I'm always so keyed up after running a deadline, but it's almost relaxing. But it is a thing to get used to. The house I lived in before was 7 minutes from downtown, so big change. I assume River Falls will be the basketball coach too.
That was my first. At least she hasn't announced her staff yet, right?
No.
Because I would assume that that's the case.
He made some real progress there too.
Yeah. What was it, 3 years?
Yeah, and he inherited a team, and I don't think they won a conference game.
So you know what's funny is that Blake and I knew each other years ago when he was on the Buffalo staff and I was there.
All right, we have Kayla Jones.
Hey, everyone. Hi.
So Kayla, talk about your first WNBA training camp. You got some storied veterans here. Is it kind of a shock to kind of be a part of this group, and what is it like as a rookie trying to kind of assimilate yourself to the playbook, to your role, and all that sort of thing?
Well, I would say to be here is definitely a blessing with the vets I'm surrounded by. I'm very thankful with the coaching staff. I mean, it's a lot of greats here. And I'm taking advantage of this and just trying to learn and just take things to control what I can control and just having fun and building relationships and really just learning. It's definitely a lot to take in for sure.
How do you feel like you're adjusting to the speed of WNBA practices?
Oh, I don't know. It's a process. You know, I don't want to sell myself short right now. And like Coach said, it's a we thing right now. So I can't go home every night and say, oh, I had a bad practice. It's a we. It's like we didn't have a good practice, or, you know what I'm saying? So just trying to take it one day at a time, learn her system, and just learning my teammates also.
Hey, Kayla, this is something that, every rookie is going to be going through, but how do you kind of find a place for yourself? You go from being on a great team, a great player on a great team, a go-to player but also not losing that confidence at the same time when you see the other players that you're surrounded by in the WNBA. How have you been handling that just in the first couple of days?
I just feel like it's freshman year all over again. Like I've experienced this. I've experienced not being that player, like coming out of high school, going into college. It's like, you're not that player. You have to learn, you have to adjust. And it's just giving yourself grace and taking it one day at a time and actually trying to learn from your vets, like not thinking you know it all. So right now it's like, I'm just in that season of learning.
We'll go to the Zoom. Corbett, go ahead.
Hi, Kayla. Corbett Harold, WNBA lead. What are some of the things that you have learned from the vets and your time here that have kind of eased your transition here?
If you mess up, keep going hard, like play through the mistake, and communication covers a lot. That's really been the biggest thing. And that's what I have to get adjusted to, like actually communicating when I might not even have the ball, but helping my teammate get to the right spot or letting them know I'm about to go here. Like that's really been the biggest adjustment. And stay moving, like move to get yourself open to help your other teammates. So it's been a huge adjustment, but the vets have been real helpful for sure.
We'll stay on Zoom. Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Kayla, welcome to Minnesota. Just what has it been like for you to learn from three of the all-time giants of the women's game, and Cheryl Reeve, Angie McCoughtry, and Sylvia Fowls? How do you balance maybe the level of intimidation that you might feel versus just the excitement that you feel to be able to learn from people like them?
Like I said, it's a blessing, like to be here with those greats, like you said. I don't know, just take what they're saying and try to grasp everything they're saying. Because I mean, moments like this don't come. It's a once in a lifetime moment. So the time they say something to me, I'm really locked in, listening to what they're saying, so I can take that to wherever I may be or just whatever life holds. I really want to learn from them guys, and I'm just excited to be here and learning from them.
Corbett, go ahead.
Yeah. What part of your game are you hoping to bring out the most during your time in this camp?
I would say just like I did in college, attacking to get my teammates open or making the right read. And I mean, I think that's the biggest adjustment, knowing where the help side is coming from and knowing how to burn the help. And I don't know, it's definitely different from college, but that's what I would love to bring to this game right now, especially the first year for sure. It's just helping whatever I could do to help win and play my role.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next we have Jessica Shepard.
You over the jet lag?
Ciao. I don't think I've hit the jet lag yet.
Well, you got.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Late last night you got in?
Yeah.
Can you just talk about how much better place you are physically than you were a year ago? I think a year ago you came in ready to play, but you had such a long rehabilitation. Now you're coming off a season playing overseas. You're probably in great shape. I mean, just the difference between last year and this.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year I was ready to play, but my body wasn't necessarily ready to play. I think coming off essentially 2 years of rehab, it was really hard with having no game experience really. And so I think being able to go overseas this year, play for 7 months, and I was playing a lot of minutes. So I think just to be able to do that and just get comfortable on the court again, I think is the main thing. And confident in, what I'm able to do was the most important thing.
Can you just talk a little bit about the adjustment of going and playing a full season with one team overseas and coming back to start a whole new season right away?
It's really crazy. I was actually just talking about this because, you go over there and you spend every day with, the same girls, and then all of a sudden you come back and, you're in a totally different environment. But for me, I'm just super excited, to be here. Obviously I didn't waste any time getting here, but just to be able to be here and have this opportunity, I'm just excited.
Hey Jess, what's your mindset for this season? Like the kind of fire you feel to have a full, hopefully healthy season, especially because it has had so many disruptions to start. I mean, what is that like level of energy, I guess, for you as you start out?
Yeah, I'm just I'm grateful to be here and just excited, to learn and just to, finally have a chance to kind of develop and just get better on the court on a daily basis, and hopefully, establish myself and help this team win in whatever way I can.
We'll go to Zoom. We'll go Pat, then Jack. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, hi, Jessica. You mentioned playing a lot of minutes overseas. Some of those games you played 40 minutes.
The most, I think.
Yeah. What did that tell you, not only about your fitness, but also about how your knee is recovered?
Yeah, I mean, being able to play 40 minutes a game, I think it just kind of showed, okay, you're back to where you wanted to be. And so I think for me, that kind of just gave me that level of confidence that I can go out on the court and, comfortably play day in and day out and, know that, my body's going to hold up.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Jess, good to see you. You know, with being overseas and being able to be such a focal point of your team and play so many minutes, you know, what were some of the biggest things that you tried to focus on that, you know, kind of gave credence to some of those 40, 15, and 8 games that we saw you put up over there?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me was I wanted to win and, you know, do whatever I needed to for my team to win, which obviously they relied heavily on me on the offensive end. So, and then outside of, you know, the games, I put in a lot of hours shooting, working on my shot. And just so, you know, when I come back here, I'm confident and, you know, knocking down the 15-footer when I'm open or shooting the 3 when I'm open. So I think for me, it was just really just getting comfortable again and just being confident in, you know, the abilities that I do have.
And I saw that you worked a lot with Coach Rebecca Brunson shooting after practice last season, especially. Just, you know, what is it like to be able to learn from someone like her, you know, in addition to somebody like Syl, to be able to kind of bounce ideas off of them and get drills and practice stuff from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of surreal, you know, when you're in a place like Minnesota and you look who's around you. I mean, you have Coach Reeve, who's the Olympic coach now. You have BB, who, you know, has had great success in the WNBA. Sylvia Fowls, Planette, Katie, you know, all of them. Just to be able to bounce ideas off Syl, and then also just, you know, to be coached by, you know, some of the best players that I've ever played. I think. You know, like I said, it's just kind of surreal and you just want to take it all in and learn as much as you can while you have the opportunity to.
I wanted to just quickly get back to, you talked about a nearly 2-year recovery. That's such a daunting thing just to say, you know, 2-year recovery, you know, and when you started it, it had to look like the tunnel was endless, I guess just how much of a sense of accomplishment do you feel at having put in the work and having gotten back? I mean, there's got to be a certain, I don't know if it's relief or what is that you got through that whole thing. You know?
Yeah, I don't feel accomplished yet. I want to, you know, actually show it on the court in the league. So I think for me, you know, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything, but I am, you know, extremely grateful for the whole staff here in Minnesota. I mean, they made it not daunting. You know, we had little goals and, you know, they kept me on track, and every day, you know, they came in with positivity and they helped me through the whole process. So I think just having that support made it not daunting, even though it was a very long, you know, when you look back, it was really long. But in terms of like feeling like I accomplished something, you know, obviously anytime you get through an injury, it's great. But I think, you know, I'm now to the point that I don't want to just get through it. I want to, you know, prove that, you know, what we did paid off.
What do you want people to see from you on the court in the WNBA this year? Just anything different, or what do you want to see that people will take notice of?
Good question. You know, I really want to do whatever, you know, they ask of me for this team to win, whether that's, you know, rebounding, my passing, scoring, you know, being a great practice player, you know, making sure that I'm locked in every day, whatever it is. That's what I'm here to do. And, you know, I'm just excited for the opportunity to have a Lynx uniform on again.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks. I don't like my jokes. That's it.
It's because there's some conflicts.
Oh, really? So this is like the first time it's since Chicago that it's going to be in the town of a team that's in the. Tournament. It's fun to watch. I agree. I think it's great. Yeah, Chicago's hard. But Indy, there's like a million places to stay. You can basically walk the arena.
You mean it's fun to watch on TV? Oh, no.
You know what's fun about it is that pretty high level stuff, and you can sit courtside and really get a feel for it. I really enjoyed that part of the or become the first week of March this year. It's the second. Yeah, well, that'd be neat. Consecutive weeks. You know, within what both local squads will at least be relevant in those tournaments at that point. You remember watching that kid in this transfer from Arkansas when he was in high school? Do you remember? Well, Kennedy, right? She didn't play there, huh? But she couldn't get off the bench in Arkansas. I don't know. It's just an interesting one. This is the things, a lot of potential. We got 4 freshmen. Transfer. I need at least 3 more. Show. I think the show can be a player. When you look at her, she's strong, you know. That's what he likes.
Yeah, that's not what surprised Alexis.
Well, again, if you can talk to Lindsay, I think she thinks that Maya's the biggest upside big before coming in. What's interesting is that she lives in the mid range, and Ron kind of lives outside. I mean, they can have scores at different levels this time. And what do you think? How many of those 4 coming in do you think will start?
For sure. Probably possible. At this point, for saying, I say it's bad play. I can see it start.
Well, I watched that national television team where Hopkins played that team from New York. She looked like she belonged. She didn't look out best last. She was their best player. I thought she was better than the big kid who went to Arizona.
Yeah.
Thank you for your.
All right, we have our final player, Hannah Sjerven. Go ahead.
So 4 practices in, what's been the biggest adjustment coming out of college and into your first WNBA training camp?
I think just the new knowledge of the terminology and the style of play that they have here in Minnesota. You know, being in a program at South Dakota for 5 years, you get used to the way one coach directs you or talks to you. And it's definitely an adjustment, you know, having a new coach.
Have you learned anything maybe about yourself you didn't know in this week?
No, I think I'm trying to pick up more from the people around me. So I'm more focused on learning from Sylvia and Natalie and Jessica.
Hey, Hannah, we talked with Rachel a little bit about just being from Minnesota and playing for the Lynx. Have you been able to talk with her about that at all? What that's like?
Yeah, it's been fun to talk to Rachel and just, you know, see the connections that we have throughout our basketball careers in Minnesota and the similar experiences that we've had through high school and AAU. And it's fun to meet someone that's had a similar journey.
And I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head if you've ever been in the state tournament when you were in high school, but just being around like Minneapolis and maybe a little bit different for you after, you know, a couple years in South Dakota too, and not being right from the, you know, the immediate metro area, just how that's been for you and the adjustment to training camp too.
Yeah, so unfortunately we never made it to the state tournament. So this is my first time actually playing on the Target Center floor, which is just as exciting though. You know, being from Minnesota and getting the opportunity to play so close to my loved ones is more than I could have asked for going into the draft. And I'm very excited to be here.
We'll go to Zoom. We'll go Pat Corbett. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Hannah, welcome back to Minnesota. You know, just what has it been like for you, you know, kind of having this awesome run in the NCAA tournament and then, you know, just having to change gears so quickly and get into WNBA mode and be around, you know, some of the all-time greats, both players and coaches that Minnesota has here.
Yeah, I think our tournament run was very fun for a lot of reasons. Just the high level of competition, specifically in my position, the girls I was going against was a great challenge for me, and there was a lot to learn there. So to continue on into training camp here with the Lynx and play against arguably the best post player in Sylvia Fowls, and to learn from her is an opportunity that I'm very lucky to have.
And then what do you think, you know, you're most excited to show in terms of what you can do as a basketball player, and maybe what's something you're most excited to learn or to pick up from somebody like Syl or Natalie?
Yeah. So I think once you get to this level of basketball, everyone's good. Everyone's competitive and very skilled. But I think something that I uniquely bring is my work ethic and the effort that I put into every play and my grittiness. So I'm excited to be able to showcase that while also learning from the veterans that are already here.
Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, hi, Hannah. Speaking of those veterans, you were a Lynx fan as a kid, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So now your first couple of days, you're being tutored in a sense by one of the all-time greats in Sylvia Fowls. How do you go from being the wide-eyed Lynx fan, oh my God, this is Syl, to attentive student?
I think
something that's helped is my perspective on basketball in these past few years, playing on bigger stages or playing against bigger competition. Just looking at it as the simplest form of basketball. It's 5-on-5, and at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be fun. And so I think, you know, kind of stepping back and taking away all the various levels of you know, accolades or accomplishments in your competitors or your teammates, and just looking at it for what it is has helped me. And specifically with Sylvia, you know, as someone that I looked up to for so long, I think it's easy to learn from her and to hear from her.
Any little tip or trick that she showed you in these first couple of days that you wish you had known 3 months ago?
So many. She has a great basketball mind, and I think she's a great leader too. So I think just seeing her, how she sets examples in that way, and you know, just the behind the scenes that you don't see as a fan. So getting to play alongside her, I've learned a lot.
Thanks, Hannah.
Go ahead, Corbett.
Hi, Hannah. One thing I've picked up throughout all the players that have come through here today is a theme about communication being a large factor in this training camp, both on and off the court. Can you talk a little bit about what communicating with this new team has been like off the court for you in getting to know them?
Yeah. Coming into any training camp, I can imagine is intimidating, but specifically for me, coming to a training camp full of players that I've looked up to was very intimidating. I didn't know what to expect. And from day one, you know, I got here a little bit early, but they were all so welcoming and they've made me feel very comfortable, which just opens up the channels for communication. So I think that they've created the culture that encourages communication, and that's why that they are so successful.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Lucas.
And I've got 2 questions for you. I'll start with the important one first. What, and again, I'm a former Yote, so keep that in mind. What was your go-to order at Mr. Smith's there in Vermilion?
Breakfast or lunch?
Oh, breakfast.
I gotta go with their breakfast sandwich on the croissant with sausage.
Okay, I was a big burrito guy, but anyway.
The burritos are good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now onto the basketball stuff. So you had mentioned the other day after the first practice that your ability to kind of extend to the 3-point line as being a big benefit to you. That's something that we've obviously seen in the NBA, but in the women's game, it's kind of come along a little bit more slowly, though it is starting to come along. Who kind of instilled that ability into you, kind of telling you, hey, it's going to be important for you to do this at the next level?
My coach at South Dakota, Dawn Plitzway, and her staff. You know, when I got to college and specifically to South Dakota, I hadn't shot 3 in the game yet. So for me, my game was very limited to the lane, and they were, I had a year for a red shirt from transferring there, and they spent that year kind of changing my shot and making me feel more comfortable. And over the 5 years that I was there, we saw my shooting percentage, you know, go up from, you know, average to pretty good. So that was exciting. We'll go back to Jack for final question. Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't take my hand down.
Jack, again.
I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you, Hannah. Yep. Thank you. I'll get you that.